Hello, this is Dr. Carl Letamendi, and this is a video lecture of Chapter 3 of the Business Mathematics text, and this is all about decimals. There are two learning outcomes in section 3.1, and they are to read and write decimals and to round decimals. Our money system is based on the dollar and uses the decimal system, and we're not going to have time to go over it today, but if you ever have the opportunity of looking into how the decimal system was created, there's a very big political history to it, so I encourage you to do the research. Moving one place from the right to left increases the value 10 times. Moving the place from left to right causes the value of the number to become 10 times smaller. It is one part of a 10-part whole. So for example, if you have 0.1, it's read as 1/10. Okay. If this chart represented a dollar, the white segment would be equal to 10 cents, and this is 1/10 of the whole dollar. It separates the whole number part from the decimal part as the number extends from left to right. 26.8 is read 26 and 8/10, or 26.8, which is what we typically say. We say point. The first place to the right of the decimal point is the tenths. The second place is the hundredths, and as one thing to keep in mind is to the left of the decimal point, you're used to thinking the ones place, the tens place, hundreds place. But here we add a THS, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and so on and so forth. Okay, and this chart is actually pretty good for you to copy and paste or take a snapshot of and keep it on your desktop for homework and for quizzes and whatnot. Read the whole number part first, saying "and" to indicate the beginning of the decimal part of the number. So in this instance, you'd say 4 and 15 hundredths, 9 and 67 thousandths, 5 and 5/10. So you can kind of pretend like the decimal is an "and" when you're reading the decimals like this with the THS's at the end. When reading numbers that represent money amounts, read whole numbers as dollars. Decimal amounts are read as cents. So 46.57 is read $46.57, but we all knew that already. Because 1 cent is 1/100th of a dollar, the words cent and hundredth have the same meaning, because cent represents cento, which is 100 in the Latin and Italian. Find the digit in the specified place and look at the next digit to the right. If this digit is less than 5, eliminate it and all digits to its right. If this digit is 5 or more, add 1 to the digit in the specified place and eliminate all digits to its right. So here we're going to round to the nearest 10th, and as you recall, this is the 10th place, the one right next to the decimal. Okay, don't I can see some people making the mistake of thinking that the 10th is the second number to the right of the decimal, but it's actually the first. And then this will round up to 12.5 because this number to the right of the number we're observing is 5 or higher. For the next number, again, since this is 5 or higher, we round 3 up to 4. And lastly, since 7 is 5 or higher, we round that up to 3. 3-2 is we're going to learn how to add and subtract decimals, multiply decimals, and divide decimals. With adding and subtracting decimals, add or subtract as though the numbers are whole numbers. Place the decimal point in the sum or difference to align with the decimal point in the respective operation. So here we have 3.47, 0.29, 3.18. So just like the slide indicated, we have here the decimal points are aligned. Attach extra zeros to the right of each number, so each number has the same quantity of digits. And that's just to help you for visualization purposes. Okay, so now some examples, adding and subtracting. We have 6.485 plus 1.4 plus 0.8 plus 11.999. And if you'd like, you can pause the video to do it manually. The answer is 20.684. Next, we have 10.008 minus 7.6. You can pause the video now if you'd like to solve. The answer is 2.408. And lastly, we have 0.976 minus 0.04217. And if you'd like to solve it, you can press pause. The answer is 0.93383. Next, multiply the decimal numbers as though they are whole numbers. Count the digits in the decimal parts of both decimal numbers. Place the decimal point. There are as many digits in its decimal part as there are digits you counted in the previous step. If necessary, attach zeros to the left end of the product to place the decimal point accurately. So here we have an example, 3.45 times 4.082. How many places are there to the right of the decimal point? So here we have 2, and then here we have 3. In total, there's 5. So the product will have 5 places to the right of the decimal. And again, product means the answer. So the answer is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers to the right of the decimal. And then when we work out the problem, we have 14.08290, and then that's correct. We have 5 digits to the right of the decimal. The last 0 can be dropped, and the answer would be 14.0829. And here we have a couple of examples if you'd like to try the first one out. 1.7 times 0.08. The answer is 0.136. Next we have 4.67 times 5.004. And the answer is 23.36868. And lastly, we have 0.01 times 1.001, and the answer is 0.01001. Dividing decimals. Place a decimal point for the quotient directly above the decimal point for the dividend. Divide as though the decimal points are whole numbers. So here we have a couple of division problems. 12.4 divided by 6 is 2.0666, and then it continues to repeat forever, the decimal 66. Again, if this is a completely online class, and you know, it's encouraged for you to try to do these by hand if you can, just for the practice. But then it's also encourage for you to use a calculator to check your work also. And I mean, in the business setting, you're gonna, if you're, running numbers, you're gonna use Excel, or you're gonna use something that's gonna help you. So don't feel bad using a calculator at all. Next, we have 36.5 divided by 2. The answer is 18.25. And then we have 192.5 divided by 50, and that equals 3.849. Jill wants to buy a bottle of detergent. A 100-ounce bottle costs $6.49, and a 50-ounce bottle costs $3.99. Which would be the better buy on a cost per ounce basis? What are those amounts? So this is actually pretty funny that we get a problem like that, because in terms of buying, I buy like this. Whenever I get, so let's say orange juice, for example, it'll normally tell you on the bottle of how many ounces of fluid are in the container. And sometimes the supermarkets, like I know Publix will do it sometimes, they'll show you the cost per ounce, so you know how much you're paying per ounce. And whichever amount is lower there, I figure, we get more per ounce, so let's get the seemingly more expensive one. But in reality, you're getting more for your money. So cost per ounce. The 50-ounce bottle costs 0.0798 per ounce, while the 100-ounce bottle costs 0.0649 per ounce. So then here, even though the cost of the 100-ounce bottle is seemingly more than $3.99, you're getting it for cheaper when you buy the 100-ounce than when you buy the 50-ounce, and you get approximately a 1 cent savings there per ounce. So 6.49 divided by 100 equals 0.06 or 6 cents per ounce. And then $3.99 divided by 50 is 0.079, so almost 8 cents. So actually it's almost 2 cents per ounce that you're saving. The bigger bottle is the better buy. Change the divisor to a whole number by moving the decimal point to the right, counting the places as you go. Use a caret to show the new position of the decimal point. Move the decimal point in the dividend to the right as many places as you move the divisor. Place the decimal point for the quotient directly above the new decimal point for the dividend, and divide as you would divide a whole number. So here's some more division problems. 12.3 divided by 0.06. The answer is 205. Next we have 15 divided by 0.004. The answer is 3,750. 3,750. No and there. And lastly, we have 20.765 divided by 0.08. And the answer is 259.5625. Word problem. Seth Parker has an hourly rate of 12.27. His gross weekly pay was $441.72. Gross weekly pay. How many hours did he work? So as you can imagine, we're going to take whatever his pay was at the week, during the week, by his hourly rate to find out how many hours he worked. So he worked 36 hours. Amber Cell now has an hourly rate of 8.75 per hour, and her gross weekly pay was $245. How many hours did she work last week? 28 hours. In section 3-3, the learning outcomes are to convert a decimal into a fraction and converting a fraction into a decimal. Find the denominator. Write 1 followed by as many zeros as there are places to the right of the decimal point. To find the numerator, use the digits without the decimal point. Reduce to lowest terms and or write as a whole or mixed number. So here, the example is to write 0.8 as a fraction. The 8 becomes a numerator, which means that we put it up top, right? There's one place to the right of the decimal point. Write 1 with a single 0, 10, and then 10 becomes the denominator. So then it's 8 over 10, which of course can be reduced. Reduce to lowest terms, it equals 4 over 5. Okay, so here we have a couple more conversions. A 0.75 becomes 3 over 4. And then you can also check it, because if you divide it, then it should be, the calculator should always give you the decimal when you treat this as a division. 0.625 converted to a fraction becomes 5 over 8. 0.25 converted as a fraction becomes 1 over 4. Write the numerator as the dividend and the denominator as the divisor. Divide the numerator by the denominator, taking the division out as many decimal places as necessary or desirable. And a special note, in some cases, a repeating decimal will be the quotient of the operation. You may indicate that it is a repeating decimal or round as needed. So here to write 7 over 8 as a decimal, you divide 8 into 7, and the result is 0.875. In this case, the quotient is called a terminating decimal because there is no remainder. So again, you just divide the bottom number into the top number, and that's how you get it. Some more conversions. Convert 1 over 2 as a decimal, right? And then a key whenever I see this is half, and I think half of a dollar is. And that helps to set the problem. 205 is the answer. Convert 3 over 8 to a decimal. And I have to recheck that for the process. But I'm not going to move forward into the exercise sets. Unless you need additional guidance, you can please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to work the assignment with you. This concludes the Chapter 3 video, and as always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or need additional guidance or tutoring with any of the sections of Chapter 3, please feel free to email me, and I'll be more than happy to assist. Thanks, and have a